September's Villa Rosa Patterns are here, and we are going to review them one at a time. There are 6 different patterns this month. If you love panels, patterns that use multiple fabrics, and watermelons, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Emily from Norton House Quilting and the founder of Quilting Your Legacy. And if you love quilting, this video is for you. Together, we are going to create a lasting quilt and table toppers for you to enjoy along with your favorite people. Your legacy deserves to live on, and through homemade quilting projects, it will. Because sewn projects to your favorite people is legendary. Make sure you click the subscribe button, that way you never miss out on another video. So, there are 6 different patterns for the month. I am going to walk you through them really quickly, one at a time. First, I'm going to tell you what the name is of the pattern. Second, I'm going to let you know what the pattern is, whether it's a table topper or a quilt or even wall hanging. Third, I'm going to let you know what the size is of each of the projects. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to get started, along with what you're going to need fabric-wise for each project, and how to cut out each of the fabrics along with any Quilting Your Legacy notes. Let's go. So the first pattern is Through the Window, which is a panel quilt. It is going to measure 51 inches by 54 inches. So to make this particular project, you're going to first choose a panel. So here's a great opportunity to go through your stash and find that panel that you haven't used yet. And then you're going to need 7 coordinating fabrics to highlight the panel. Then you're going to choose a sashing color, which is going to be that black line going down through the coordinating fabrics. And finally, you're going to choose a top and bottom border along with a side to side border. But it looks like, honestly, you could choose the same border fabric. It doesn't have to be different as the pattern states. So to make this quilt, you are going to need the following. 1 panel, which is going to measure 24 inches by 43 inches approximately. You're going to need 7 accent fabrics, which will be in fat 8, so 9 inches by approximately 21 inches. You'll need 7 coordinating fabrics, along with the top and bottom border, which is 5/8 of a yard cut, along with the sides, which is going to be 3/8 of a yard cut, and the sashing down the center of the coordinating fabrics, which will be 1/4 of a yard and 1/2 yard for the binding. So to make this particular quilt, you're going to first need to cut your accent fabrics into rectangles. Then you're going to be adding your sashing strips to them, along with sewing the pieces together to then sew your coordinating fabrics to the panel. And as a quick side note, you might need to add a little bit extra to the panel, but you won't know until you get to that point. That is just a little note that they wrote onto the pattern. And then finally, you're going to sew the side to side and then the top to bottom borders to the quilt. This is going to be a quick and easy panel, especially if you already have a panel that you haven't been quite sure what to do yet. Here is your opportunity to do something amazing with it. And again, you're just going to need 7 coordinating accent colors to complete this quilt. The second pattern is Hypnotized. This is again another panel pattern. It is going to measure 63 inches by 63 inches, so a really great size quilt. You're first going to choose your panel squares, but you could also choose any large fabric that you love. Then you're going to choose tonal sashing with the background fabrics, which will highlight the panel squares going around. And then finally, you're going to choose 2 different border fabric. There is a small border fabric going around, and then there's a larger border fabric going all the way around. To make this particular quilt, you are going to need 9 different 9-inch square panel blocks, which you will cut at 9.5 inches. So again, if you don't have a particular panel that you would like to use, you could use any large printed fabric as long as it is 9.5 inches. Or again, if you were to go with the large fabric, you would need 2 and 3 yard of the themed fabric if you did not have a panel ready to go. The sashing is going to be 3/4 of a yard cut. The background fabric will be 1 yard, and then the first border is going to be 1/2 of a yard. The outer border, which will be that second border, is going to be 1.5 yards, and then the binding is going to be 5/8 of a yard. So to cut out this particular quilt, you are first going to trim your squares to 9.5 inches. Then you're going to add the sashing around the squares. Then you're going to cut out the background, and then finally adding your first border, and then of course your second border. And then a quick Quilting Your Legacy note is that this is going to be a brilliant couch quilt. However, again, if it's too small, just add a 3rd border to it. Or if you would like it a little bit longer for any tall people sitting on the couch, you could add an extra border to the top and bottom, or use that same border that you're going to use, the second border, and just make it a little bit longer on the top and bottom. And again, my favorite thing about this particular project is that you could use any large printed fabric as long as it looks good with the 9.5 inch square. The third project is called Notches. Notches is a quilt. It is 60 inches by 70 inches. Here's a fun and playful quilt using half square triangles. To make this particular quilt, you are going to need 2.5 yards of the background fabric, and then 3/8 of a yard cut of 7 different fabrics. So to cut out this quilt, you are literally going to be making half square triangles the entire time to make this quilt. I have this amazing video on how to make half square triangles 8 at a time. I will link it in the show notes. And when you make this particular quilt, you definitely might want to make the half square triangles 8 at a time. And again, the video will be right in the show notes to make your life easier and a heck of a lot faster to get this quilt done. I've got your back. So the quick Quilting Your Legacy notes: choose your favorite half square method to make this particular quilt. And I love how they chose the bright, almost like Bali fabrics. You could also go with a dark gray if you didn't want to go with black, and you could always go with a white instead of the black as well. This would be a really great stash buster if you wanted, but again, making the half square triangles 8 at a time might be the best way to do it. The fourth pattern is called Egg Rolls. Egg Rolls is a quilt pattern. It is measuring 56 inches by 62 inches. You are going to choose 12 different fat quarters. This is going to be an amazing quilt to highlight your favorite fabrics. Or when you're thinking about winter projects or a present for somebody, you could choose their favorite season of 12 different fabrics, or their favorite color in 12 different fabrics, or take them to the quilt shop and let them choose 12 different fabrics. To make this particular quilt, you are going to need 12 different fat quarters along with 1/2 yard for the binding. So to cut out this particular quilt, you're first going to cut each of the fat quarters into strips and then into rectangles. And then a quick Quilting Your Legacy tip is that all you need is 12 different fat quarters in total. You could choose 8 printed fat quarters and then perhaps 4 tonal fat quarters. That way you can really highlight each of the fabrics. All you need is 12 different fat quarters. Bada bing, bada boom, you got a quilt. The fifth pattern is called Throwback. So Throwback is a quilt. It is going to measure at 52 inches and a half by 63 inches. I love how they use the plaid in this particular quilt. It could also be a really great male quilt or a really great neutral quilt. Don't need to choose plaid. You could go with a seasonal theme fabrics, or even, again, this would be a really cool scrappy type project quilt. To make this particular quilt, you are going to need 6 different half-yard cuts for the background and 6 different fat quarters for the accent colors. To make this particular quilt, you are going to first cut all of your fabrics into strips and then pair your fabrics together to then sew. This might look like the 2.5-inch strips. They are not. These are using 2-inch and in some cases 3.5 inches. So again, this is using 6 different half-yard cuts for the background and then 6 different half-yard accent colors, which is what is showing up as the plaid. And then quick quilting your legacy notes. This would be a really great project for any type of mail or even using tonal fabrics, like earth tone tonal fabrics. This would be a really great quilt using those colors. And then last but certainly not least is Slice of Summer. This is a table topper. It is measuring at 16 inches by 52 inches. Seriously, I love this table topper. It is making 4 different watermelons with the center block. To make this particular table topper, you are going to need a half yard of red, 2/3 of a yard cut of green, and then 1 fat quarter for the center block. We are making this for next month for the Table Topper Club. I hope to have some kits left for it. So if you want to make this also, write me an email or write it in the comments and I will see if I have any kits left for you. So to make this particular project, you are going to first cut the red fabric, then you're going to add the green strips to then create these adorable watermelons. The watermelon will quickly form and then you're going to need to create 4 of them. Plus, you'll want a fun print for the center. Quick quilting your legacy notes. Looking at the center block, for the kits that I've put together, I did use watermelon fabric, but you could use a tonal fabric to then applique or embroider a watermelon on it. So the center could be something completely different. It doesn't have to be a printed fabric. So that is all of the patterns. Thank you so much for watching. I will definitely do another video for next month for October with more brand new patterns from Villa Rosa. And my name is Emily, and if you love quilting, you belong here. Because together we are going to create a lasting quilting legacy for not only yourself, but for the people around you, because your legacy deserves to live on. For more information, go to the show notes. See you soon, everybody.